This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
Welcome to What's News Dunedin, brought to you by Hazur Kebab, the radio show that spawned from the 22,000 plus strong local Otipoti Dunedin What's News Dunedin Facebook group. The group that's been putting the social back into social media since 2020 with respectful adult debate and a sense of humour. I'm your host Richard Knights. On today's show we're talking to our wonderful guest Rob Waide from Kiwi Swim Club, who'll be telling us more about themselves and what they do, as well as helping us look back at the post that generates some of the most interactions over the last couple of weeks on the What's News Dunedin Facebook group. Those posts this week are the man who decided to kayak across the Otago Harbour, ended up capsizing, hypothermic and naked at the end of it, knocking on someone's door, to Otago Museum Board Chair's attempt to swim the Cook Strait to fundraise for the new sprinkler system for the museum, and the laughing react emoji and its use online. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome to have you here. Now, if you're a follower of the page, and I think you are, you'll see that we have a Pun Day Monday. So what happens on Pun Day Monday is we get everyone to bring their best dad jokes, and then I bring the best joke, which is only literally qualified by the amount of laugh reacts it gets, and we're talking about the laugh react a little bit later on, and bring it to the show and see if it actually jumps off the page and makes it funny. There's no requirement here to laugh. If you don't find it funny, mate, you don't find it funny. But most of these, I tend to, I do love a good pun. So our pun of the week this week is, I have tattoos on my shoulders, and when people are sad, I let them colour them in. Sometimes people just need a shoulder to cray on.
Oh, that is a dad joke.
It is a dad joke. Eh? That's sometimes people need a shoulder to cray on. I like that. I like that. Now, we also have our 3 pop questions, right? So 3 pop questions are basically the questions that I ask all our guests, which basically tells our listeners everything they need to know about Rob Waide, the human being, right? So these are under the skin, in depth, like they get right to the core of the human being that you are, right? So no pressure. But first question. Cream teas. So you know where you have a scone, you have jam, you have cream. What goes on first, the jam or the cream?
Oh, jam.
Good answer.
It has to be jam.
Has to be jam. Has to be jam. No, absolutely. I mean, and to be fair, this is the only question you ever get wrong on my show, right? Because I'm the science supports me. Jam first, the thick sticky stuff first, then the cream on top. Because you can't put jam on cream, but some people do. Right, and we'd probably never be friends with people like that, you know. I say that I like. There's a Jared Hodson. He's a cream first, jam on top. We're friends, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You have to work a lot harder on those friendships, I think.
You always put cream on top.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
Yeah, on anything.
Well, exactly. It's the last thing on, like, because then you can just slather it on and you know you've always got enough. All right, I'm one of these people. The only reason I have dessert, I have pudding, is so I can have cream. I can literally drink it out of the, like, it's just, it's weird, but like, I just love cream. Like, the only reason I have dessert often is for the cream. So, but anyway, that's by the by. Now, you've done the hard bit, because that's the question you could get wrong. You didn't get it wrong. Fantastic, we can crack on. You know, otherwise I'm here talking to myself for an hour. Second question, who is your favourite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Raphael.
Didn't even have to think. I mean, that was straight in. Raphael's mine as well, right? So, but there's no wrong answers with the Turtles. They're just, you know, it's fantastic, you know. Do you remember when they changed their name?
Oh, they changed it in England.
Yes.
They had them as Hero Turtles, not Ninja Turtles.
That's right, yes. Yeah. And then they went back because they were still doing the ninja stuff. It was quite funny. I just remember it. So I don't know how long it took me to notice when I was back in the UK, but suddenly I was like, they've changed the bloody name. But then by the time I noticed, they kind of changed it back again, because it was like, what's the point, you know? So, third and final question, and this one is a thinker, all right? So, I have a think on this one. Would you rather have your first child when you're 19 or your first child when you're 50 years old?
I say 50.
50?
The reason is you can give them more knowledge, you can give them more insight, but you can also give them the freedom that you know you won't be around as long as what you would be if you were 19. Mm-hmm. But in doing so, you can build the person into their own self quicker, and they can be more self-sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong answers here. This is your preference, right? and I'm thinking about this, and I really don't know, because like I've got grandkids, so like, I'm in my 50s. I've got grandkids. I've had them stay over, and I've had to be up in the night with them, and I have to say that I'm struggling with that. I struggle with that as a 50-plus-year-old person, but at the same time, I'm thinking I've got similar thoughts to you. You know, like actually you can give them a bit more. You can give them a bit more. Hopefully, I've got a bit more wisdom. You can give them a bit more wisdom. You can give them a bit more, upbringing and help them with that. At 19, you're a little bit kind of wet behind the ears still, and you're still struggling to be an adult yourself. I think I'd probably choose 52, but it's a close run thing for me if I'm going to be completely honest. That's the tough stuff done. Right, the rest of the show is just a walk in the park compared to this. So, going to talk about the 3 topics of the week, okay? And interestingly, there's a couple of water-based ones. Now, you're from the Kiwi Swim Club, and we'll end up talking about that in the second half of the show. But the first one is a recent story of a man who decided to kayak across the Otago Harbour. Didn't put on a life jacket. Kind of got out there, and it all got a bit choppy. And they're talking about 1 metre swells. Now, when you think about it, you think, 1 metre is not... But when you're in a small little boat, 1 metre swells are quite strong. And the story, it seems to be, there's a couple of waves come in, he's got the first one, got the second one. The third one has wiped him out. He's now over the edge of the boat. He's now in the water, unable to get back into. He's halfway across the harbour. The story ends up with him getting to the other side eventually, like three or something hours later, having obviously dragged himself across the harbour. Not quite sure why he didn't turn around, but I guess that's the mentality. Depending how far he'd got, to be fair. If he was over halfway, I get that, But then by the time he gets there, he's naked because he's obviously shed all his clothes in a attempt to keep himself alive and afloat. It's what if you've ever done lifesaving, and I have in the water, you get rid of your clothes because obviously they drag you down. So he's made the right choices in regards to shedding some clothing. Got the other side, he's hypothermic, he's naked, he's knocked on someone's door. Please, can you help me? Right. What are your thoughts? I know what my thoughts are on that. I was just wondering what would you say about that? Is that stupidity there or is that not being prepared? Is that a combination of both? Is that actually he did the right thing and actually in my mind he's lucky to be alive?
Yeah, well and truly. Like I also do surf lifesaving with St Kilda Surf Club.
Yeah,
and I've been on the harbour with various different vessels and swimming and everything. I've been on a dragon boat that sunk with the city council, and we got it back into shore. And that was choppy. That would be about the same, but 1 metre swells don't seem to be that big if you're at the beach, but in the harbour, if you see them constantly coming in one after the other, then that's the biggest problem, especially if you're unsure how to kayak, unsure how to get back into the kayak, or if the kayak's filled up with water because of the waves coming in. It sounds like he semi-knew what he was doing, but you never surf or swim alone, and you never go and go out on a kayak, even if you had a thin life jacket, one of those boaty ones. Something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And if he was wearing track pants and a large T-shirt or anything like that, yeah, of course he's going to get rid of it. And the underwear he probably came off while he was trying to get across the harbour anyway, because there's no strings attached, of course.
Yeah.
I think he's very, very lucky to be able to get out of it.
But the other thing for me is it also puts another resource, the life-saving resource, into action, but also in danger. Like in my mind, because if as soon as you're out in those conditions, even as a lifesaver, you're potentially putting yourself at risk because you're now trying to find someone who has got themselves into peril. And again, that's the little bit of thought in front of you that doesn't happen. I always I always find it hard to kind of like have sympathy for people that have, stretched emergency resources or put other people in danger, and that's kind of what's happened. The way the ODT reported it, and also a caveat with that, because obviously you only have one side of a three-sided story, right? Their side, the ODT side, and what actually happened in the middle somewhere. And I firmly believe that, was that he seemed quite cavalier about the whole thing and didn't really seem that bothered that, he saw it as, that he'd done it. But again, like you say, you don't do these things alone, right? And if you do these things alone, there's far more requirement to be better prepared, in my mind, for that trip, whether it be a walk in the in the hills, whether it be a cycle ride, whether it be those kind of things. If you're doing it in company, you've at least got assistance. If you're doing it solo, then you really need to be making sure that you're doing it right, because otherwise things like this happen.
Yep.
So it's one of those things for me. It's just actually like you put other people at risk. It's like it's kind of I'm always of that opinion. I like if a drunk driver crashes his car and injures themselves, like fine, but it's to putting the other people at risk that I struggle with. And it tends to happen. It's always the other people. They get away scot-free. It's always the other people that sort of end up with the injury or whatever it might be. So again, the credit to the lifesavers and all those kind of people, because they just go out there regardless, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's, kudos to all of those who kind of put themselves up and go, hey, someone's out there, don't care whether they messed up and got them in that situation. I'm going out there to try and to find these people. When we've got some great, and we'll talk about it later in the show, but we've got some great people out there that do that week in, week out, day in, day out. So while we're in the water, and I guess before we move on from that one, people say it was just the Otago Harbour, but I've been on the Otago Harbour, like genuine a boat myself, and it can be no less dangerous than the open sea.
Oh, exactly.
Given the weather, the way the wind rages through down our harbour anyway. I've gone out on my boat at sometimes and thought, oh, this is fine, and then literally within minutes we were like up and down, kind of going, well, this is no fun anymore. So you're kind of back to shore, because it is a dangerous place, and you've got to treat water with the respect that it deserves. And again, we'll probably talk a bit more in depth about that as we talk later on in the show, because of the Kiwi Swim Club. But while we're in the water, the Otago Museum board chair has also recently thrown himself in the water on purpose, with the appropriate backup support and all those kind of things, and attempted to swim the Cook Strait. So. And that's to raise money for a fire sprinkler system in the museum. And I've got two kind of things that I want to talk about with regard to that, in the sense that, one, what a feat to try and attempt that. It is a rough piece of water. Anyone that's been across there in the ferry will know just how crazy that piece of water can be. But he's also fundraising for his museum. And I'm looking at that kind of going, why? Why has the man got to go and try and attempt something like that in order to raise $50,000 for something that should be funded out of whatever purse that it needs to be? But it shouldn't come down to one man's individual fundraising attempts to put a sprinkler system into a museum that, without a sprinkler system, we could lose
everything.
Pieces of history that have that we would never get back.
Yep.
Right. So two things. One, what a valiant attempt. He didn't make it. He got about halfway, and then literally he said he was swimming for an hour in the same spot because of the way the tides were going. I can't think of anything more heartbreaking than doing that as a swimmer. I'm a reasonable swimmer. There's no way I'd attempt something like that, but I'm reasonably comfortable in the water. I have done lifesaving as a child, as a younger man, as stuff like that. So I know how to be safe around water. I know how to save people in water, and actually save my wife on our honeymoon from drowning. Would you believe? Yeah, exactly. That's a story that's interesting to tell your kids. Nearly lost your mother, but yeah, we got into choppy water. She was just snorkeling, and the water started popping over the top of her snorkel. Right. We were quite away from shore. We couldn't, and she wasn't as confident swimmer that I was. So it ultimately ended up like hand under the chin, on my back, side stroke. Got to the beach, and it's actually like, without the training that I'd had, I don't know how that would have turned out, But It was fine. We got there. It wasn't a major panic for us. It sounds a bit more dramatic than it was, genuinely. But that's the whole point of doing things in pairs, right?
Yep.
So, if she'd gone out on her own, she absolutely might not have come back. But I can't imagine just sitting there swimming.
Oh.
And swimming, and then knowing, and you're not going. The boat next to you is kind of going, we're not going nowhere, But of course, they do that with a complete support crew. So, a fantastic effort to the man. I mean, he feels guilty and he says that he didn't make it. But I tell you what, like even getting that far, in my mind, you are an absolute hero. But to have to be doing it to fund something,
yes,
it's wrong on so many levels. Would you agree?
Oh, completely, because to try and swim that sort of distance just for fun is phenomenal. And the way that I saw the tracking, he actually got halfway, but he didn't go straight across. He started going like parallel, and then he came back, and it looked like the tide and the swell was actually pushing him sideways, sort of thing. And it's just amazing. But funding, why are we not, like, this is central government, this is local government, this is boards or like a hospital or something like that. Why aren't we funding public amenities properly? Swimming pools, museums, art galleries. It's all right to be, say we can do this, but what we've already got, why can't we keep? Why can't we slightly improve it?
Yeah.
Make it slightly better. You don't even have to do that. It's not for us, it's for our children. It's for the children's children. It's for generations to come.
Yeah.
And if you lose the stuff in the museum, that is, heartbreaking. You can't.
It would be. You can't replace it, can you?
No.
I've had I've had one of the people from the museum on here, and they told me that what you see in the museum is like 10% of their entire collection. There's so much stuff that they've got in storage in the basement behind. In hermetically sealed whatever. Like in proper climate controlled conditions. If that goes, we don't get it back. There's just a massive chunk of history you just wave goodbye to.
Yes.
All right. The fact that we can be so, I don't know, blasé is probably not the right word, but so ignorant of the need to protect it that we are letting one man basically be responsible for the fundraising of 50 grand.
Yeah.
Is 50 grand seems a reasonable amount of money for to protect for a sprinkler system in a building of that size, right?
Yeah.
But why isn't someone stepping in? Why doesn't the government look at that and kind of go, yeah, we really need to? It's the oldest museum in New Zealand by all accounts. I think I could be wrong. Why isn't someone looking at it kind of going, we need to write them a check?
Yeah.
It doesn't take. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science in my mind. If we can give landlords $3 billion, yeah. If we can give the rich tax breaks, or even the poor tax breaks, it doesn't reflect. It's not the same. At the level. 50 grand for a sprinkler system doesn't seem like. It doesn't seem like a consideration to me. It's like, actually you need to get that done.
Yeah, well, it's a fire requirement.
Well, exactly.
Shouldn't that have been like with the fire department? That should be stated that has to be in there.
Exactly. It would be a requirement of their insurance.
Yeah.
It's all these things they've got to do it. It's just like, but it's systemic across the motu. Like that's the other side of it. Is it's not just about Otago and not Otago Museum. The other museums across the country will be struggling with exactly the same problem, and that is underfunded. And a lot of people look at arts and public spaces as being nice to have, right? But can you imagine a society where we don't have swimming pools, libraries, museums? I can't envisage a world where I'd be, where you couldn't go to a public art gallery. Where it's like,
well, you probably some places that are under a dictatorship, North Korea, they've probably got art gallery of just their leader.
Exactly, but they have
And
it,
that's it.
and that'll probably be better funded than what we've got.
Oh, far better.
Almost, you know, do you know what I mean? Because that's propaganda as well.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's supporting the regime. But so yeah, it's an interesting one. Now, third and final topic of the week is the laugh react emoji. Now, it was a couple of 3 weeks back, right? Dunedin News put it up on their page about the fact that, you know, what do people think about the laugh react emoji, right? Because there's a lot of talk across social media about the laugh react emoji, right? You can use it as a laugh react, or you can use it as troll, right? You know, you can use it to go, actually, I'm laughing at you, mate. I'm not laughing with you, I'm laughing at you, right? And of course, there's a big distinction between the two, right? You know, when I'm talking Punday Monday, people put a laugh react up, they're laughing at the joke, right? Simple as that. They might be laughing, cringing at the joke, especially with some of the dad jokes that we have. But if you make a serious comment and someone laugh reacts at you, then you have, I guess you have a right to feel aggrieved at that reaction, you know, because actually that is trolling in the true sense of the word. And so it went up on Dunedin News, and it got what I genuinely expected as the reaction from Dunedin News, you know, like toughen up, but take some concrete pills, those kind of things, and you know, what are you moaning about? So I wanted to do the same experiment on What's News Dunedin, so I put the same post up on What's News Dunedin and got a very different response, which is what I expect, because we are kind of the anti-pages. Whilst we are friendly now, we never used to be, but whilst we were friendly and we talk, our admins all talk amongst each other, which is lovely, and a much nicer and friendlier space to be in. And the pages themselves have got, like Dunedin News has got nicer. It's not, I wouldn't say it's nice, but it's got nicer. But it was a very different response. And as admin in the group, I often see those laugh reacts. So I actually probably see the consistency of trolling more than someone perhaps just partaking in the group. There is a no trolling rule in the group, and if someone trolls and makes a comment, then I will deal with that. But I've never enforced that rule on laugh reacts,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, if I see someone like, you know, trolling constantly with laugh reacts, I don't mute them or get rid of them.
Yeah.
They've got to open their mouths, kind of thing, or you know, open their fingers and actually put something in that you can clearly see as baiting, you know, and attacking in that regard. What are your thoughts on it? You know, do we ignore it? It's something that social media is kind of like. There's been a swell of, like, you know, it's like the thumbs down emoji, you know, react disappeared from. We used to have a thumbs up, thumbs down, and we, you know, kind of that's kind of gone now. Facebook's given us some other emojis, you know, the care emoji, the heart emoji, the sad emoji, the angry emoji, but we still got this laugh react emoji, which kind of is.
It's like quite a few things. You've got to. People will be able to use what you think a laugh emoji or anything else in a certain way, but then they would be able to twist it. And they'll be able to twist it any old way. It, you know, you could be saying some kind things and some people would read it differently. You could help an old lady across the street and somebody might think that you're taking advantage of her. You know, it really takes some people probably don't even intentionally do it, and just putting it down. Like I know my parents, sometimes they might press the wrong button or do something like that and not realise what they've done.
And that's why I don't enforce it necessarily, because actually I've done it before. I've got myself in a huge amount of trouble before where I've been scrolling.
Yeah. And
I'm just flicking through. Imagine I do a lot of scrolling because I've got huge amounts of content to check when I'm, and by scrolling, somehow I've managed to put a laughing react on a serious post, or serious comment. And it was only when people going like, I can't believe you're laughing at that. I'm going like, what are you talking about? Like, genuinely, what are you talking about? They're going, you know, and I'm like, hang on a second. Went back, and there it is, you know, and I know for a fact, I'm looking at the comment, I'm going, I know for a fact I don't find that funny.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I'm not trolling it, right? And I'm, you know, but the trouble is, that, you know, people are then making an accusation, and you kind of go, actually. So that's why I haven't enforced it, because of the fact that actually it can be done inadvertently, especially when you are busy scrolling, right? It's just the nature of the thumb presses on the screen. But I do notice it when it happens.
Yep.
And I think people that there are certain people, certainly like Bruce Mahowski, who's a friend of the show. He's also obviously an admin over on Dunedin News now. That some people use that with him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand why they would feel aggrieved by that. And I think we just have to. I think it's context is everything.
Yep.
With any with all of these things, and if you see people doing that all the time, I think you can kind of go, actually, I can tell you're trolling.
Yep.
I can tell you're not being genuine. And I think people need to. And the bit that for me is, I think people need to look at their online behaviour, because actually the people you see online aren't the same people you see when you walk to them face to face. Like that's the bit that kind of makes me kind of go, come on, people, right? If someone said that comment to you in the pub, you would not laugh at them in a way that they took you knew that they were taking the mickey, right? Yep. Because you might be worried about a punch in the face, but you just wouldn't. You're a nicer person than that in real life. Please be that nicer person online.
It's like, it's a bad analogy, but it's like singing in the car. You're singing in the car, you're absolutely enjoying it, you've got your own personal space, and then the car beside you is laughing like anything because you look like a complete idiot. But you're behind a keyboard, you're in your personal space, and you're thinking, I don't like this. No, I'm going to be really nasty to this person. And then you see the person later on and you go, oh, hi, how are you? It's people just don't think properly anymore. Some people.
They don't take enough time to actually understand the implications of what they do. Because I've always had this conversation. Words are powerful, right? They say sticks and stones may break my bones, but nails never hurt me. No, I disagree with that entirely. Actually, sometimes the power of words can hurt far more and for far longer than a whack on the leg with a stick, right? Yep. So and can do far more damage to the person emotionally than any other thing. Like, I think it's one of the worst sayings. But again, it comes from a time when, that was like toughen up, be hard, all those kind of things. So I think it's one of those, be a nicer person. I get that you might not have any other reaction other than laughing because actually you just think it's stupid. So you're trolling. But actually think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
That would be nice. That would be my message if anyone's listening. But that would be my message actually, because there are implications that come on from your actions, your thoughts, your words. Agreed. Cool. We're going to talk about you in a second, but before we do, we're going to get a word from our wonderful sponsor.
Have you checked out Hazur Kebab yet? It's your go-to for a delicious lunch, a tasty dinner, or anything in between. Order online to save time and pick up some delicious, authentic Turkish cuisine in just minutes. HazurKebabCafe.co.nz. Dine in or take away at 906 George Street.
Are you a kebab fan, Rob?
I, while living in Australia, was on a TV ad for Slovaki Hut, which is very close to kebabs.
Right.
And so, yes, I don't mind a kebab.
Don't mind a kebab. Have you had kebab from Hazur, top end of George Street?
No, I don't. I was waiting to the end of the ad to see where it is, actually.
Top end of George Street, so just opposite George Street Normal School.
Right, near the auction.
Yeah, right, literally next door to I think it's Proctor's.
Yeah,
next door. It's right. It's right on the corner, right on the traffic lights there. The food is fantastic. I'm driven by my stomach. I live for food. I wake up in the morning and I'm planning my next meal, genuinely. And we're there on Sunday for we go there on Sundays and God knows what else. But we're there frequently, right? Cooked with love, but the food is just glorious. It's just glorious. If you haven't been, definitely worth a trip out there to go and taste it. You won't look back. And I've tasted lots of great kebabs in Dunedin, but I firmly believe it's the best.
Right.
It doesn't come higher than that. Now, let's talk about you. Let's talk about the reason you're on the page. I was reaching out for people to come on the show a few weeks back on the What's News Dunedin Facebook group. You put your hand up and said, "Hey, can I come on and talk about Kiwi Swim Club?" And I said, Absolutely. So maybe give us the 5-minute Cliff Notes version of what that is all about, where that comes from, what's your involvement, how you got to be involved. Yeah, just give us a bit of a rundown and let people know, because I genuinely don't know anything about Kiwi Swim until you mentioned it. I'm like, sounds like something I want to know about, you know. So that's why you're here. So give us the lowdown.
Well, what I've done is the Kiwi Swim Club, had their centenary back in 2022.
Okay.
And I started doing the history for it. I had done it previously at the 75th anniversary, so I've been with the club for a while now.
Yeah.
I actually started as a swimmer back in the early 80s, and then progressed through, and somewhat my swimming career wasn't as great as the other person I had to swim with, which was Daniel Loader.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So
Yep, no.
I was the same era. So, but with the history of the club, I started doing it at the 75th. I did a lot more, and I did a booklet for it for the 100. And then I've carried on with a Facebook page of the history of the Kiwi Swimming Club. And what I've done is I've done profiles of our famous or more famous people that were in the club, like Duncan Lang, Chris Laidlaw, Duke Gillies, the legend of the St Clair Surf Club, Pat Ellison, and what I've done is I've wanted to include photos of other things as well, like with swimming parts. The last one I did yesterday included the swimming pools of schools and other swimming baths as well. Like, a lot of people didn't realise that there was a swimming baths in the upper Moray Place in the YMCA.
Oh, okay.
In the old YMCA building, which is now a car park opposite View Street. They had a Zenith Swimming Club was actually in there for quite a while, and I got a photo from the Papers Past website, and it had a picture of the pool with their always got a metre springboard down there deep end, and then I've got some pictures of the physio pool, which is it's a shame with that one. And then I've got other pictures of other Dunedin school pools and aerial shots of where pools used to be, like the Forbury School, Tomahawk, Moreau College, where their pools used to be. And because Kiwi Club members swam all the way through, they learnt to swim in school pools. They learnt to swim in just the tiny little pools that maybe at Ravensbourne or McAndrew Bay or Big Rock or anything like that. And that was the last one I did yesterday. The one before, it was about the municipal baths that was just in Lower Moray Place, where I've actually parked the car in the car park. So I've done that, Moana Pool and Port Chalmers and Mosgiel with St Clair, which I have not swam, I'm ashamed to say, in the new Mosgiel one, and I won't try and pronounce the official name because my Māori is very bad. But with Kiwi swimming, it's been around for so long, and it's produced so incredible swimmers, like the only woman, New Zealand woman swimmer to get a medal at the Olympics, Jean Stewart. And, you know, it's really, I wanted to get it out there so people can see it, and people then, like the Otago Museum, if it's gone, it's gone. Mm. But if I can get it out there and get people their knowledge and saying, oh, the swimming bars, oh, there, or the bars that were in the Otago Harbour, like we were talking about with the gentleman with the kayak, there used to be swimming bars sectioned off with wood and iron gates to keep them so-called safe from octopus or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they would swim in like Palasha Bay or Vauxhall or McAndrew or Ravensbourne or Broad Bay. They all had St Leonard's, which is still their swimming wall. The wall of their swimming baths is still there.
Right.
Beside the cycle track, there's a stone wall that people were going, "What's this?" Well,
that's the edge of of what used to be a swimming pool.
Yeah.
I'm stunned by the fact that they're actually like within, we're in Princess Street here in the studio, but literally there was 2 swimming pools within sneezing distance previously in Moray Place.
Yeah.
That is just one where I'm assuming where that Wilson's car park building is now.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, obviously your View Street, and then one in the other car park building.
Yeah.
It's like so swimming pools then sort of, when they grow up they become car parks.
Yeah.
Maybe. So the Kiwi Swim Club itself, explain that to me. That's 103 years old if my maths, 104 years old if my maths are correct. What is that in itself? That is just a...
It's just one of the several swimming clubs that are in Dunedin.
Right.
They've got a Tuesday night through the school term, and what they do is from learn to swim. So they go from the learners pool through to the main pool. I'm the head coach, so I do a squad training session in there, and they progress through stages right through till they get to me, and then from me they either go on to swim under Lars Humer in the Dunedin swim coaching, or they sort of retire, because swimmers retire at a very early age.
Yeah.
But a lot of my swimmers have gone on to teach and coach swimming, so I feel quite honoured and proud about, and why I'm doing it is, well, my dad used to do it.
Yeah.
Dad used to be an assistant coach for Duncan Lang for many years, and he was also he's also a life member of the Kiwi Swim Club, and Mum was always around doing on the committees and everything with that. My 2 younger brothers have swam for years and years. One has just swum at the New Zealand Masters Games,
Right.
and he did fairly well with he only thought about training in the last few months to go in there, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. But yeah, it sounds like we're a swimming family, but we're not.
No.
Mum was a softballer. She, her and her sister played for Otago, and my dad was a runner for Dunedin Anglican, which is city. What is it? Hill City University, or I can't remember the name of it now. But but with the Kiwi Club, we've been there for over 40 years. Well, off and on for 40 years, and we're one of the stronger clubs in Dunedin.
And you're based out of Moana
Pool. Yeah. Because a lot of we used to, like Kiwi Club and Neptune and that, used to use the school pools.
Yeah.
Like that's where I learnt to swim in Forbury Pool. And then they cut that down and started concentrating just at Moana, whereas the other swim schools would come in like JC and swim, just swim and everything else.
Yeah.
With Kiwi Club, they were born from the Dunedin Swim Club, because they were around for a lot longer. And then Dunedin, the Kiwi Club started in, obviously, 1922. In the 50s, Neptune started because one of the members splintered off and started another swim club because Kiwi was just getting too big, or I don't know the politics about it.
No, fair enough.
And then, but Kiwis kept going. A lot of the other clubs have got smaller like Kawa, which was Kaikorai Waikari. And yeah, it's hard to say with the Kiwi Club the way that it's going, because being competitive is great, but a lot of them just want to get to a swimming point and then go, yeah, that's enough for me. I just want to do water polo, or I want to do underwater hockey, or something like that. And some of them have. Some of them, I had one when I was coaching years back, went on to row,
Right.
and she did very well.
Yeah. Because a lot of the names you mentioned, like because I'm only 15 years in New Zealand, those names mean very little to me. But I do understand that actually we actually bat well above our station when it comes to like just generally in Dunedin. We've got some fantastic sports people that have come out of here. I'm one of those people that like I could have been a really good club swimmer. Because all my family had to learn to swim, right? Because mum and dad couldn't. That was, and we used to do beach holidays. So my mum and dad's requirement was we went and learned to swim, because if we needed to save anyone, we were saving them. Like so, we did the whole lot. Me and my three brothers did all the way through. Did up to doing snorkeling and doing life saving. I've swum up and down those bloody pools, done 1.5 kilometres, like to get my 1,500 metres badge and stuff like that as a younger child. Thrown my pajamas over my head and created floats and all that kind of stuff, because my mum and dad said you have to be able to swim. I've done the same with my kids, like not because I want them to save me, but at the same time I've said to them, when you get to the point where you can swim 250 metres, we live by the sea. If you can swim 250 metres, you can stop swimming. Right, so I've taught my kids to that level, and they all can do that, which is fantastic. Trouble was, I then had to prove to my lad that I could do the same thing before he would accept the fact that was his cut-off point.
Right.
So I remember getting in this water pool thinking, am I going to be able to make it? I did. I was still a reasonable swimmer, thankfully. I was able to do my 250 metres without too much hassle and go, see, if I can do it, I've done my 10 half lengths of the Olympic pool. You can do that. So you do. Some people get to a certain point, right? But Dunedin, like some of our swimmers, go like they go well beyond. We've got some fantastic people that have come out. Who's the most famous? Who's the most famous? Because I don't know these names particularly, but
the most famous Kiwi swimmer, or the first swimmer in Dunedin. Out of Dunedin would be Daniel Loader.
Right.
Double Olympic gold medalist.
Wow.
In 96, 30 years ago.
Oh, man. Okay. You make me feel old. All right, go on.
And he also got a silver medal in Barcelona in the 200 fly. So he's won 3 Olympic medals.
So that's
from
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
And Jean Stewart, who married Lincoln Herring, she was a bronze medalist at Helsinki in 52. And they had children. One of their child, Gary Herring, actually went and swam and medalled at Commonwealth Games. He was one of the unfortunates, which I say is because New Zealand in the 1980 Olympics boycotted.
Right. Okay.
And at that stage, he was one of the top 3 in the world for his event, which is a shame because that would have been quite interesting. The other famous people with swimming-wise would be Duncan Lang, who taught and coached thousands and thousands of kids and adults for swimming, and he was from the North Island, and he's come down in the 60s when Waianapool opened, mid-60s, and he was there for 40 years, and he was like a second father to most of the kids that swam there.
Yeah. There's a dedication involved, isn't there, with swimming?
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason I said I could have been a club swimmer, but the only reason I wasn't able to do club swimming, I can't dive.
Oh.
I've got this phobia. I've got this phobia going into the water head first. So I couldn't. So there was no point. I was always at a disadvantage. Like I was fast. Like I was really fast in the water, but I couldn't get off. I couldn't go off diving blocks, and I still can't. Like I'd love. No one was ever able to teach me how to dive. It's just a fear. I've had it from tiny, right? But I was lightning in the water, which is a shame. Which is why I gave it up, because actually there was no point. There was no point trying to progress as a speed swimmer.
Yep.
If you can't,
if
you're getting left behind at the blocks, there's no point, right? You have to be bloody fast, right? I want to ask you a couple of questions in a second, but before we do, I'm going to get another quick word from our wonderful sponsor.
Have you checked out Hazur Kebab yet? It's your go-to for a delicious lunch, a tasty dinner, or anything in between. Order online to save time and pick up some delicious, authentic Turkish cuisine in just minutes. HazurKebabCafe.co.nz. Dine in or take away at 906 George Street.
What sparked my interest is you talking about the pools that are no longer there. Mm-hmm. So do you have a figure for how many pools we used to have and how many pools we now have? As a roughly,
roughly.
have we? I mean, I'm assuming we've gone down in number from when we used to have those ones in the corner of the harbour, little bits around the harbour and stuff like that. So, but we've gone down to sort of the main ones. And I would say to you, if you get the chance to go to Puno Whakaihu, which is the Mosgiel one, and my Māori is awful too. My pronunciation, I struggle with Essex accent to say the English words properly. It's fantastic. I've been there a couple of times, and it is a truly wonderful pool. We are so lucky to have the pools that we've got in Dunedin. But it fascinates me that we've actually we had so many more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Port Chalmers had I've got actually photos on the history of the Kiwi Swim Club's Facebook page, but we had photos of Back Beach where Port Chalmers actually had their pools.
Yep.
So it's over the hill from where the pool is now, and it's all sectioned off with the changing rooms that are wooden structures on piers sort of thing. So you got Broad Bay with they've actually swimming races in. So yeah, you sort of got just about every little town sort of thing had their own swimming area. The Vauxhall one was the part of the Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens back in the Gold Rush days, where they there's some interesting stories I've read about that place, and with the city council, they actually opened a swimming baths in Palasha Bay, which is now Logan Park, and because, as you know, with the harbour, all the sludge and everything, but back then it would have been even more because of no filtration systems and everything just went straight into the harbour. Their pools would be absolutely diabolical, but the Palasha Bay one that the Dunedin Mayor opened, 3 hours later, the Caversham Mayor officially opened the saltwater pool at St Clair.
Right.
3 hours later, and the Dunedin Mayor swam at the St Clair ones and not the ones that he opened 3 hours earlier.
Right.
But you're looking possibly Morgan's Bars, which are now just about where the beer company,
Emerson's.
Yeah. They would be there in the harbour because that's where the harbour was. There's Palasha Bay had one. Just out from Palasha Bay, there was another city council one. So you got three there. Vauxhall had one.
Numerous.
Ravens,
It sounds like stacks.
There was. Even Ellis Park, the soccer softball fields.
Yeah.
Right at the end of it, Kaikarai Roslyn swimming bars were there.
Right.
And if you had a spade, you could probably dig it up right now.
Right. Yeah.
Because they just filled it in.
Filled it in.
Yeah.
So what's caused? Is it funding? Just simply funding that stopped all these pools being around, or does it just make sense to kind of rationalise these down. Because one of the things we've got like 5 minutes left. One of the pools I do want to talk about is the physio pool, because that's a pool that people are still crying out to get back. And I have heard recent talk that there might be something going on with regards to bringing that back, because that's a very different pool, isn't it? That's not a swimming pool.
We've actually trained in there.
Oh yeah, well there you go. See, I've never even been in the building, right? So it
was diabolical. We actually had to have the fire hose on us to cool us down because it was just so hot.
Because the water's so warm. Yeah.
And you just can't train in there, but it's great for rehab and everything else. But, as you know, what's going on with the physio pool is what happened with all the other pools.
Right.
They simply just went, nah, we don't want it. We can't keep the upkeep. The YMCA one in Upper Murray Place, the boiler broke. We can't afford it.
And that was the end of it.
And that was the end of it.
A bit like a physio pool, like the part of the system has broken, and it's kind of that was the death knell for.
Yeah, and just plank it over and away they go. There was another physio pool in Dunedin that wasn't used, and that's at the Targa Polytech.
Right.
Because they were going to be the people that did the physio, not the Otago University. The government changed it and gave it to the university, not the Polytech, and the Polytech had a really nice, brand new physio pool built. I think it's near where the I block or something, and they've just covered it over, and now it's a meeting area.
Right.
But they had a pool. Like a proper
because they were going to teach people how to use that pool for physio. So it was all part of the training. But then, of course, physiotherapy went to has become a university subject rather than a polytechnic subject. It's funny, just those little decisions. Yeah, it's like it's the butterfly flaps its wings over here, and there's a volcano happens over there kind of thing, or a storm or whatever. It's quite interesting to kind of put those pieces. Yeah, together to see. I mean, would you like to see the physio pool back?
Yes.
Yeah. So would I. Like, I mean, I'm guessing at some point I might need it. I don't at the moment. Like, I don't. But I have heard such great things about it. It just seems something that's like
it's a niche pool because the way that the pool's built, it's built the old way.
Right.
Like it was just after the Second World War. It's built as a bars. The tepid bars that you might have swum in over in the UK. It's similar to those.
Yeah.
Like beautiful styling and architecture and everything. But because it's built that way, it's also private, which means niche groups like religious groups or anything like that can use it and not be seen.
Yeah.
So say Muslim women that want to learn how to swim or perfect for them.
Yes.
Or any other groups that do not want to have men or gentlemen around. It's that's what they need, and
we need it back. I think we need it back. But again, we kind of go full circle almost back to our man swimming in the Cook Strait. It's like funding just doesn't seem to be there for the things that we desperately need funding for, and yet you can find money for stuff that seems to me not only fleeting and passing, but actually very irrelevant in the big scheme of things. The physio pool can give you 50 years of wonder, or 50 years of, not wonder maybe, but it's not the wrong word, 50 years of productivity and gains, whereas giving landlord some extra money, it's come and gone. Like, and where's the benefit? No, you don't. There's no. They get benefit clearly. I mean, not everyone's out of pocket out of that, but the rest of it is kind of like doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like we seem to have a very short-sighted approach to things that we should have very much a long-term investment in, and I don't necessarily think that's a New Zealand problem. I think that's a everywhere problem.
A Western one.
A Western problem. Yeah. Absolutely. We don't give our stuff that we need thought and care for a long time, the attention that we give the stuff that's immediate.
Yep.
It's like almost instant self-gratification. It's got worse over the years. Like we have become a much more 24/7 instant gratification society, and we're doing that with our public facilities, which makes no sense to me. So, So if people want to get involved, we've got like a minute left. If people want to get involved with swimming and stuff, what do they do? If they want to join the Kiwi Swim Club, do they just find you on Facebook? And
there's they can find the Kiwi Swimming Club Monday nights Neptune, Tuesday nights Kiwi, Wednesday nights Surf Life Saving, Royal Life Saving, Thursday nights Zenith, Friday nights Kawa or Dunedin, and then Saturday I think is Kawa, but I'm not too sure because they're a very small niche group. But if you need to know anything, just look it up on Google it, and you'll get a website to see what club. Because yes, Kiwi Club's going to be great, but if you can't swim on a Tuesday night,
you need to find another club.
Yeah, you need to find another.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Rob. Thanks for coming in. I've learned a lot of stuff. Welcome back anytime. But just sit there while I round the show out. Thank you, mate. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I've been Richard Knights, and you've all been wonderful. Remember, if you're looking for a robust, respectful adult debate about all things local and further afield, and a welcoming online community that doesn't take itself too seriously, come and find What's News Dunedin on Facebook and join our fun. On next week's show, we'll be talking to Doug Hall, a new Dunedin City Councillor, and look forward to seeing you next Friday at 12 on OAR FM. And if you want to listen to the show again, or simply share it with your friends, you can find the podcast at oar.org.nz, or even on Spotify, YouTube, or your favourite podcast provider.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.